Hi guys, welcome to the short video about the question what you should consider before investing money into gold. I mean, it's a huge topic at the moment. A lot of people are talking about investing into gold because, of course, there's one big reason here, and that's the US debt clock. I mean, it's not only a problem with US, it's a problem everywhere in the world, especially with COVID-19. Governments are spending more and more money on fighting COVID-19 or the economic disaster or aftermath after the COVID-19. You can see here the US national debt here, the total. I think that's the total amount at the moment, and that's 25 and something trillions, and they are planning to add about 3.7 trillions alone in this year. That's absolutely insane. More than 10% on top of that. That's absolutely crazy. That's $76,000 per citizens, and at some point, so at the end, somebody has to pay for that, and that's not the government, that's not like Uncle Sam, that's not Bill Gates, that will be you and me. We will have to pay for that. And how are we going to pay for that? That's of course with a lower value of the US dollar, and it's almost the same thing in every country. US is almost the worst, but there are a couple of countries which have even higher debt per citizen, but in total I think US has the leading debt all over the world in total. So at the end, somebody has to pay for that, and I mean, the thing is, US is just printing money. We call this printing money when you increase the debt as a country. So there are more and more dollars around, but there is not more value around. That means actually the value per dollar is less. So at the end of the day, the value of the dollar will go down, and this is how we are paying for that. So if you have savings and you have 1 million on the side, in 20 years it will be still 1 million, but probably you won't be able to buy the same amount of goods for your 1 million anymore. That's the problem. So how can you avoid that and work around? And gold could be an option for that, of course, and almost everybody is talking about that. Here we have a latest video, Valuetainment, really huge channel, more than 2 million subscribers, and they are talking, I think, for the second time this week about gold. So it's everywhere, and you can find it also here. Is gold a good investment? And you can find 600 millions of findings here on the internet. So when everybody's talking about that, then it absolutely makes sense to invest into gold on the one side. So what's actually speaking against it? And I'm focusing in this video clearly why not to invest into gold, because there are maybe better solutions or the reasons why not to do that. By the way, this is not professional financial advice, it's just talking me as a normal dude on the internet. So before you invest, make sure that you contact your professional licensed investment advisor or whatever which is advised in your country. So let's talk a little bit about the negative side of gold. I mean, a lot of people think, it's safe, you can have it at home, you can hide it, you can bring it to the bank and be safe from burglars or other accidents or incidents or whatever. And gold is something which is always needed. Gold is needed by the industry, and gold is needed by people who are wearing it, like buying for rings and necklaces and other stuff, and there's always demand, and there's just a limited supply, and you cannot produce it artificially, and there are a lot of reasons why people are believing it's a good investment. So I'm going into that one by one. So first thing is, you think it cannot be confiscated by the government. That's absolutely not true. Of course it can be confiscated confiscated by the government. So here we have Wikipedia. That's the Executive Order 6102 from April 1933 in the United States, and they put this executive order in place where everybody was mandated to deliver, or let's say sell gold to the government at a certain price. But depending on how this price is set, it could be more like stealing your money. I mean, I haven't checked the price then, but maybe it was a fair price. It was in exchange for $20, which is equivalent to $400 in 2019 per ounce. To say troy ounce, maybe, I don't know if that was a different thing, but anyway, it seems like people were trying to hide, at least some people, and it was not possible. I mean, especially when you have gold in your bank. I mean, of course, bank have to follow the rules of the government, and it will be confiscated instantly. Even if you have it at home, the government can come and take it from you as they when they think it's their right. So it's definitely not possible to have it safe against everybody, especially, let's say, the government. Gold is definitely not safe. One other thing you have to think about is the production. Always people have been thinking, yeah, okay, production of gold is going down. It had peaked already 4 times. First time here, then here, and here, and every time people have been thinking, okay, now gold production has peaked, now it's going down. So that means when demand is still the same or even goes up and the production goes down, the value will go up. But every time it has turned out, the production of the gold has increased and increased and increased, and the demand, yeah, I mean, until think about the year 2000 or so, people have always been arguing and saying, yeah, gold, that's something really special. It's always needed in the industry, like in production of computer, like computer chips or other things. Gold has been always like quite some part of it. But it turned out in the last couple of years that gold is more and more replaced by other things, and so you cannot rely on that the demand of the industry will go up and up. It's more like it will go down because it's being replaced by cheaper materials, and materials which cannot be controlled, because a lot of the production is from Africa, and we know Africa is controlled more and more by China, and countries want to be independent from that. And another thing where I think most people are wrong, most people probably think that gold cannot be created by other elements, but it is possible. It's just not economically doable at the moment, because it needs a lot of energy. I think it's a nuclear process, something like that. But as soon as there will be more energy at a cheaper price available, and that's possible anytime soon. I mean, we are talking about nuclear fusion maybe in the near future to produce electricity, maybe even cold fusion. There are crazy things going on at the moment, and if like energy becomes so cheap, maybe it can be easy, or at least economically reasonable to produce gold, and then the game could be over if you think you buy it and there will be always be the same amount of gold. I mean, anyway, here we are talking, of course, about the production, I mean the mining of gold, and I mean the mining can go up, but the amount of gold which is stored in the earth is always the same. But yeah, here when we see this, even this limit can be lifted by creating gold artificially. And that's probably not everything. There are probably more reasons why not to buy gold. I mean, you can move around gold to, let's say, if you want to move gold to other countries, usually you can do that. You can even bring, I think, as much as gold as you want to the United States. You just have to declare it, but you don't have to pay tax on that. You just have to pay tax when you are selling that. but maybe to bring gold to other countries can be limited. And so what are alternate ways? At least at the moment, a lot of people are talking about gold 2.0, and that could be Bitcoin, of course. I mean, most of the disadvantages which I have been talking or telling you about real gold, that's not here with the Bitcoin, but of course there are other disadvantages too. But in basic, we have a limited supply of 21 million, and that will always be 21 million. It's not possible to make more of that. I mean, when we are talking about Bitcoin mining, that's just mining a part or the remainders up to 21 millions, because not everything is mined. You can see circulating supply is only 18 millions when we are talking about mining. That's just the difference between that and the 21 millions. But there are actually not 18 millions around at the moment. A lot of people are guessing that around 4 millions already have been lost forever and cannot be recovered anymore because private keys have been lost. So the number in the circulating supply will probably go down and down and down, and instead of the number which is going up in US dollar and other fiat currencies, which produces inflation, and here we have the exact different way. It's more like a deflation. So existing bitcoins will be more and more valuable. But of course, there's always a risk. I mean, there is a risk when you store it, no matter where you store it. If you store it like on an exchange, which a lot of people do not recommend anyway, or in a Trezor like a USB stick, or in a normal paper wallet, which a lot of people recommend. But somewhere you have to have your keys. And keys can be stolen, of course. I mean, you can store your keys like in other documents and encrypted or something like that. So it can be really hard to access keys. If you really store them safely, then actually nobody, no burglar, no government, nobody can really steal your keys. But there are cases when people were forced to release their keys. I mean, people, burglars, or like people coming with weapons to people's home and saying, okay, release me your keys, or I'm using this gun. So has happened. So I mean, there is probably no really 100% safe store for value. It's not existing on this planet, but I think this is at least some alternate way. And there is some potential definitely here in the Bitcoin price. I mean, when we look at the past, it doesn't look so promising. I mean, we had the peak, the real peak we had in December 2017. It's quite some time ago. Doesn't look very impressive. When we go to log scale, looks a little bit more impressive. But when we go, I mean, there are some price models around there, and the most important one, I think, is that's the stock to flow. There are many models around, and they are predicting Bitcoin prices up to 100,000, 1 million, or even more because of limited supply. But of course, again, there are some risks. There is even the risk that some people could take over the Bitcoin network with like a 51% attempt. That's possible. I mean, it's not very likely, because at the moment it looks like the Bitcoin network is super safe. It's really absolutely decentralized, even though some people say it's centralized by the mining groups. Some of the groups are a little bit centralized, and a lot of them are even in China, but the miners themselves, they are not centralized in China. They're all over the world, and they can go out of these mining groups anytime if they see a problem or a risk to this network. So I don't see that's a real problem. Also, people are talking about that the encryption can be hacked. and that's possible with supercomputers in the future. But I mean, the protocol, the Bitcoin protocol, can be changed anytime soon when they have agreement on that, so they can enhance the encryption and make it even much more safe, that even supercomputers are not able to unlock your funds. So that's it for now. I hope I've been able to help you a little bit with that. If you have any questions or comments or other opinions on that, would be really interesting to learn from you. What do you think about that? Please put everything down into the feedback area. I'm always happy to talk about these things. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.